Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning to Sir Mamil Chora Bulambao. Sir Marvin Tabacolde. Good morning, sir.
Good morning,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Good morning, Elsie.
Good morning, Sir Denise Arso. Good morning, Sir Jeffrey Ballesteros. Ma'am Elizabeth Castro. Good morning, Sir Francis. Good morning again, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Good morning po, Ma'am Agnes. Good morning po, Ma'am Cherio Castro.
Morning.
We will just wait po for a couple of minutes. Kamusta po kayong lahat? I hope you're doing fine. Good morning, Sir Manuel Pancho. So while we are waiting for the speaker this morning, I will again greet you. Pleasant morning. Good morning, sir. At sa lahat po, maayos naman po at walang karamdaman ng sakit. Very good, sir. Dapat lang po. Good morning, Sir Reynald Mamasig. Good morning, Sir Roberto Pilayo. Sir Alvin Fulgencio. Good morning po. Good morning po sa lahat watching from Southern Baptist College of Malang, North Cotabato, Mindanao. Well, good morning po dyan, sir, sa inyo. Also from Ma'am Catherine Cabanada, mapagpalang umaga po sa lahat from Cagayan State University, Tuguegarao City po. Good morning din po dyan sa inyo, ma'am. Mag-ingat po tayo lagi.
Thank you, sir. Good morning po.
Masantos Yakabuasan ed Sikayon amin from Pangasinan. Good morning po, Sir John, sa mga Pangasinan po. Good morning po lahat from New Isabela Central Elementary School, Tacorong City, Sultan, Kudarat. Good morning po dyan sa inyo, sir. Mga teachers po natin dyan sa Sultan, Kudarat. Mapagpalang umaga po sa lahat. Again, we're just waiting for our speaker this morning. So please bear with us. Good morning po, Ma'am Lorlen. Good morning, Ma'am. Sino pa bang hindi ko po nabigyan ng greetings kayo umaga? Good morning, Sir Reynald Mamasig. Good morning po sa lahat from Banga National High School, Banga, South Cotabato. Good morning din po dyan sa inyo, ma'am, sa South Cotabato. We have also participants coming from medical colleges of Northern Philippines, Peña Blanca, Cagayan. Good morning po. So, good morning everyone. To all participants, welcome to the National WebCon for the 21st Century Researchers and Educators with the theme Digitalization in Research and Education, Leveraging and Emerging Trends in Data Management. So before we start, may I read to you again the proper etiquette that we need to observe during the virtual gatherings. 1, open your camera. Second, I encourage everyone to always mute your mic, followed by use of headphones or earphones. Then you have to find a seat for location that is comfortable and well lighted. And it is also advised to wear business and smart casual attire. Finish the whole webcon and complete the evaluation for you to get your certificate. And last, always direct your concern through personal message on our page or in slido.com, provided code or our email address so we can provide answers to your concern. I am Charles F. Isulan and I am welcoming you again in this virtual event sponsored by the Philippine Institute of 21st Century Educators Incorporated. Expect that in the end of this web conference, majority of us will be knowledgeable and able to understand the topics prepared by the speakers and the organization. So this time, may I ask everyone to be in silence for a prayer. Dear God, we now continue to glorify and praise you for all the blessings you have bestowed upon us. Thank you for allowing us to meet and share our knowledge in time with one another in this virtual conference. May you extend your divine wisdom to our speakers so that they would be able to impart effectively their God-given knowledge. We also know that in this time of pandemic, everything is in your sovereign control. Calm our hearts, God, and keep it away from the spirit of fear and anxiety. Surround us with your peace that surpasses all understanding to what is happening in your creation today. We know that you, God, are bigger than all of the problems combined, and that is why we put our trust in you. Amen. So, for the information of everyone, we are presently viewed on different social media platforms. We are presently live here in Zoom and in YouTube channel at the official channel of POMI. We also have our delayed telecast in Facebook at the official Facebook page of PICE I-21. At this juncture, the National President of PICE I-21, Professor Emijan and Donila Palmani will give her welcome remarks.
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me? So, to my co 21st century educators, good morning. I will never get tired of saying thank you to all of you for your all out support to our organization, the Philippine Institute of 21st Century Educators Incorporated, and to our affiliated organizations. I know that you are all busy since we are now back to work as the first semester of academic year 2021-2022 has already started. Your attendance today is a manifestation that you all love your profession, that you are indeed worthy to be called the 21st century educators of the Philippines. Educators who, amidst the threat of COVID 19, still strive to give their best to elevate and widen their knowledge in order to not only improve themselves as educators, but also to provide quality education our 21st century students truly deserve. The PICE I-21 and its affiliated organizations will never get tired of sponsoring webinars like this, as we all see the dedication you, our beloved members, have in teaching. Organizing webinars like this is not an easy task. It requires passion and compassion from each of the members of the committee. And with this, I would like to commend my colleagues, whom I already consider family, the organizers of our webinars. Sir Ricky Kibinko, Sir Jose Abrian Casella, Sir Cyril de la Fuente, Sir Isidro Villa Jr., Sir Charles Isulan, Sir Jose Jean Montecado, Sir John Michael Sonsa, Sir Chito Tomines, Sir Jerry Hovacon, Sir Adam Donald Julio, Sir Raymond Casio, and Sir Arlene Surita. They are the hard-working men of our webinars. Without them, we will never reach this far. I may be the only woman in the team, but I know I have these reliable men behind me in realizing the objectives of our organization. For this 3-day national work-on for 21st century researchers and educators, we have invited 5 speakers, experts in the topics assigned to them. Each topic supports our theme, digitalization in research and education, leveraging the emerging trends in data management. In behalf of our team, I am Mrs. Emijan and Danila Palmani, your PICE I National President. Welcome you all to this 3-day national work-on, specially designed for you, our beloved 21st century educators. Let us all sit back, relax, and enjoy learning. And always remember to look for the good in everything. Mabuhay! Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So everyone, take note that you can write your question or insights while our speaker is having his discussion, but expect it to be answered during the question and answer portion. In this moment of time, I would like to introduce to you our speaker this morning. Our guest speaker this morning is presently the designated University Director for Knowledge and Technology Management of Research Development Extension of Cagayan State University, Tuguegarao City since 2018, and concurrently the Campus Research Coordinator of Cagayan State University. At LASAM, he is occupying the faculty rank of Assistant Professor 4. He started charting his career as a private elementary school teacher at San Lorenzo Ruiz Educational Institute, a private school head at LASAM Academy Incorporated, faculty of the School of Education, Arts and Sciences of the University of St. Louis Tuguegarao, to a faculty and administrator of Cagayan State University. He also obtained his PhD in Educational Management at the age of 23 in 2013. Master of Arts in Education, major in Educational Management in 2011, B.Ed Generalist in 2010, and finished academic subjects for BS Ed English in 2013. He has published 29 research articles indexed in Scopus, Cleverate Analytics, and ASEAN Citation Index journals. He has an H index of 6 and I-10 index of 3. He has presented researches in various international, national and regional research conferences and symposia, and was awarded Best Research Presenter and Best Research Paper awardee. He was also Distinguished Faculty Researcher of Cagayan State University. He presently serves as an editor and reviewer of various SSCI Web Conference Index and Scopus Elsevier journals such as International Journal of Learning, Teaching, Educational Research, Sage Open Article Editor and Reviewer, Journal of Technology and Science Education, Studies of Applied Economics, Eurasian Journal of Educational Research, Journal of Social Studies Education Research, and Asia Pacific Journal of Multidisciplinary Research. He also the co-author of 5 books, namely Research Methodology, Quantitative and Qualitative, a practical guide for these researchers from gaps identification to publication. Second book is How to Conduct Action Research in Education. The third book is The Teacher and Community, School Culture and Organizational Leadership. The fourth book was the How to Write and Publish Your Thesis, and the last is How to Write and Publish Your Dissertation. He has engaged in externally and institutionally funded research projects of the Cagayan State University in collaboration with the government's different agencies, such as the Department of Science and Technology and the Department of Agriculture. He is an associate member of the National Research Council of the Philippine NRCP under Division 1, Governmental Educational and International Policies, and was conferred as a Fellow of the Royal Institute of Educators, Singapore. Once again, I am referring to no other than Mr. Gilbert C. Magolo Jr., PhD, LPT, FRIEDR, on the topic Translating Research Result into Action and Practice. Good morning, sir.
Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat.
Magandang umaga din po, Sir Gilbert.
Thank you very much to our MC. Of course, my appreciation goes to Professor Palmani, the president of PICE 121, and of course to Dr. Ricky Kibinko and the organizers. Allow me to share my slides for this session. Being the first speaker, hoping that we can realize what this team of this National WorkCon can contribute really to our system, to our work, to our society. So my topic this morning, before anything else, I would like to greet everyone. Magandang umaga po. Naimbag nga bigat coming from the province of Cagayan. And we have so many participants here coming from the different regions of the country. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Blessed morning. Stay safe po kayo. My topic is on translating research results into action and practice, which is the focus will be on community-based participatory research design. And I would like to present the scenario, of course, the objectives for the learning outcomes for today. We will have a reorientation on research results utilization through practice, concepts, and action. And the second one will be on community-based participatory research design. So allow me to present this scenario. There is what we call a reality versus expectation. Am I right? So Neil Armstrong said that research is creating new knowledge. And what do we expect from this new knowledge? Of course, Anton Chekhov said, if the knowledge you have generated is no value unless you put it into practice. So therefore, it reminds us all, educators, researchers, knowledge enthusiasts, knowledge seekers, that research is not really a way of generating knowledge, but research is actually putting it into a practice, a way of putting the context of research into development, research into community development, research into societal development. So these are the luminaries we have today, the Neil Armstrong, and of course, Anton Chekhov. Now, this is actually the situation and the gaps that 70% of the research papers produced, no, they can be the thesis or dissertations generated by undergraduate, graduate students, teachers, and professors are not utilized. And that is really ang masalimuot na katotohanan, no? And scholarly research outputs are buried deeply in reports and not transmitted into real practice. And they are commonly called as file drawer problem. Imagine your efforts, your time, your money poured in coming up with the research, and they were not being utilized. They were not being translated into action and practice. Then the thing is, nag-research ka pa. So this is the situation. This is the gap that we would like to address this morning. And I hope I can deliver to you what we are expecting for today. So many relevant research results did not reach really their target audience. With this kind of culture, aminin man natin, existing in our academic community. Because the thing there is, sometimes we just do research, we just conduct research without we just propose researches, but we do not think of the end in mind, the end goal of this research. So I hope that through this lecture, somehow I can provide you a concrete way so that we can redirect the purposes of our research, the purposes of our projects, the purposes of our research programs in the academy. I myself is an academician as well as an administrator. So nakikita na natin dito na ito yung mga situations, ito yung mga gaps that are really common, no? And that is why our research results, the research utilization, or sometimes our research commercialization in the country is somewhat in its deplorable situation. Okay, so let's try to begin with these basic concepts that there is what we call the basic research and the applied research. Generally, when we talk of translating research into action and practice, sometimes sinasabi natin, they just fall on the applied research. But of course, for me, no, we are looking at whether it's a basic research or an applied research. Somehow, we can translate the results of these researches into action and practice. Basic research is doing research in just adding knowledge, no? Adding knowledge to the existing body of the literature, discovery, it's all about invention, and sometimes it's really mere academic. But for applied research, these are the research that are really solving the existing problems in the society, in the community. They can refer to research and development. They can refer to design and development of tools, new materials, new products, new systems, informations, and new technologies. And these are the results of the research that are commonly used to solve problems in our society and in our community. So on my end, no, whether it's a basic research, you did a survey, you did an attitudinal research, you did a sort of survey on the teaching learning styles of the students, it's still, there should be a component wherein the results of these should be translated really into action and practice. And of course, in applied research, these are really the researches that you need to develop something new that could really contribute for the economic development as well as improvement of the living status of the people and the community. So whether we belong to the Department of Education, we belong to the state universities and colleges, we hope to see that the beauty of research is not just doing a research and completing it as a requirement, or of course publishing it, no, is just one way of putting research into action and concept. But we need to see that there is what we call a practical result that is really applied, adapted, based from the results we have. So yun yung purpose po natin, no? That's why ang ganda po ng opportunity given to me that I can also share something that we can also redirect the direction of our researches before we conduct them, before we conceptualize them. Okay, so the OST being the agency of the government on managing, or of course looking on the research development, looking on innovations, information and systems. No, I got this 6-piece project output guide, and as a member of the National Research Council of the Philippines, this is actually what we are looking for, what we are patronizing for. Na we are looking at the outcomes of our researches. And 6Ps stands for publication. First P is the publication. So we do research as a way to translate it into action and practice, which will be the topic tomorrow, because I will be walking you through the process of publication. And there is really a need for you to publish your research in Scopus or Web of Science, RSI Index covered journals. So the results of your study should be published. So this is one of the outcomes in research. The second one is patent. No? Also publication and legal document. And of course, there is what we call a probable direct financial gain from the use of your intellectual property rights. And this is actually the reason that this is an opportunity for all of us to share an avenue, no, to share our practices, that all of your researches conducted should be first copyrighted. And whether it's a basic research, the results of your protocols established, the results of the findings of your research, they should be copyrighted. No? And of course, whatever the results of your research that can be translated into a manual, a book, a training guide, a training design, that should be copyrighted. No? So, copyright it. We have the agency in the government, the IPO field, who is in charge with this. And they are welcoming innovation coming from our teachers. Okay? So, patent also refers to that models, the utility models you develop from your research, the technologies you develop, and you copyright it with your name, of course, by the university as the applicant and you as the maker. So ito yung mga tinitignan natin na outcomes ng research. And of course, when it's a basic research or a social science research, no, does the result we're able to translate it to policy outcomes, no? So it's still a publication, more within the realm of extension work, and we can see already that yung mga pinaghirapan natin na mga researches are being adopted by localities, by local government units, by the provincial government. And your research is the basis of a policy. Your research is a basis of conducting extension work, no? And of course, your research becomes the basis for improvement of systems in your institution. So ito yung dapat i-ensure natin, whether it's a basic research or applied research man siya. Okay? And of course, when you are venturing into product development, no, your research came up with a commercial value. You develop new products, you develop new formulation for this kind of condiments, no? You develop new ways, means, steps, procedures, and processes that can be available in the market later on, is also a way to translate research into action and practice. Okay? Kaya nga, before we fund the researches, the end in mind should be, what can we gain from your research? What can we get? These are actually the questions of these funding agencies when you propose researches for external funding. And of course, the people services that out from your research, based from your research, were there really increase in the scientific workforce? How many PhDs, masters, how many were employed from your researches? So providing services to the people, no? And of course, is places and partnerships, how many agencies you collaborated with, and that's actually the measure to become a professor now, no? The partnership you established, the number of memorandum of agreement, the number of facilities you source out based from your research. Imagine, no? Your school were able to was able to put up a laboratory, a 21st century laboratory, or a virtual room, a 21st century virtual room, coming from the funding out from the outside or external agencies. And you as the proponent, that's your research, no, you are bringing in to the university more opportunities for places and partnerships that could really increase the 6Ps or the outputs. Okay. So these are what we call the outcomes of research. Now, when we go to Global Innovation Index, these are actually the parameters and the criteria. No, it's good that the Philippines already increased its status in Global Innovation Index. And in Global Innovation Index, the real measurement there is, based from the research, what knowledge and technology outputs have you generated? Okay, your research were able to provide a model for business sophistication, creative outputs. How many publications were you able to do? How many publications in Scopus and ISI? No, the human capital and research. Your research contributed to the improvement of education, to the improvement of educational system for sustainable development, market sophistications, and of course, to institution. And these are actually the thing that we are looking for when we would like to translate our research into action and practice. Okay? So medyo in-start natin kasi introduction natin from the global perspective, then pupunta tayo mamaya sa mga local strategies and techniques. Now we have these BRICS countries, you know, in internet, in Investopia said that BRICS, no, these are the countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And the BRIC is the acronym for these developing nations, that they are believed to be the future dominant suppliers of goods, services, and raw materials by next 2050. So they are putting more investment on research, on product development, on knowledge, intellectual capital of their country, on the manpower for economic development. So I hope we will be able to put all these things into our researches so that we can really see the direction. We are moving towards a direction that we will not only the ones who will benefit from our research, but we are looking at the larger perspective that our research will result into something that is really, that will really improve the society or the community. Okay, so a review. What are the research innovations in the academia? Why we do research? Because when we are in the institution, we are in the school, in the university, we transmit knowledge. We generate knowledge. And from the knowledge we generate, does it become a public knowledge resource? Does it become a public knowledge resource that could contribute to the community, that could contribute to our service communities, service areas, contribute to our field of specialization. So these are actually the innovations. Moving on. So now, what are the opportunities now when we are in the institution as we try to translate our researches into action and practice? Of course, as researchers, we do not only contribute to the existing body of knowledge through publication, but we address practically the gaps, the concerns of the society through the research-based information, system, processes, tangible products, and technologies. Okay, and we translate the results of our researches to transform and improve the living standards of communities, improve policies, and delivery of educational services. Imagine the product of our researches were able to be adopted by regulatory bodies, by legislative bodies. Okay, and for schools and universities now, we are now focusing on a research university into becoming an entrepreneurial university. So noon, there's already a paradigm shift. We focus on a research context, research university, but there's a new paradigm now that the change should be based from the researches you generate. What have you created? The entrepreneurial context on jobs created, business created, technology licensing agreement established, no? Adapters of your product, the ones who adapted your products, the results of your research, did it really improve their way of life, their way of living, and of course, the status of their human living standards. So ito yung mga opportunities na nakikita na natin. So mamaya himay-himayin po natin. Okay? So let me begin with this, that the results and findings have shown really, no, it has been my observation that there is a poor dissemination and appropriation. So availability and utilization of our research findings is in deplorable condition, despite that the great awareness of their usefulness in solving education's problems and of course in enhancing the quality of life of the citizens. We know that our research will be useful, but we did a research, we conducted a study, we did a thesis or dissertation, and once you already submitted the final manuscript, you were given the grade, it stops there. Okay, so if you try to retrospect, what should be the knowledge? What should be the systems or technologies that should be utilized based from your research findings? And this is our focus for today. Okay, and it therefore means that research outputs have not been able to translate into the development indices and consequently have not helped the building of the education sector for sustainable national development. Kasi mga teachers tayo, so kahit action research man yan, kahit simple research, kahit research on the survey, research on whatsoever there, we need to look at what can we generate? What can we do? No? Because in putting our recommendations in our research, we just put there at the end of the paper, larger funding should be given, should be allocated to this in order to improve this one. But putting these recommendations in generic term, what it means to me as the one who will read your research. What can I do? So ikaw na researcher ngayon, you need to specify now what are the things, specific things to be done based from your research that you can recommend to me so that I can utilize your research, I can make it available for everyone, and can be a basis for me to develop policy, to come up with practice. Okay? So ito yung mga nakikita natin na problema. Okay? And educational research findings should be utilized in the school system because research helps to solve really existing problems and challenges so that the role of educational research is very vital in making decision processes. No? Balikan mo, yung dissertation mo, ito yung naging resulta ng dissertation mo. Nasaan na ngayon yung resulta? Were you able to disseminate it? Were you able to provide a colloquium for your research results? No? In-invite mo ba yung mga stakeholders so that they will learn from you? They will adapt the policy. Okay? And although educational research requires effort, time, and sometimes capital, this is already the thing. A school system should allow teachers enough time and resources for research purposes. Okay? Moving on, and what should be done now to translate our research results into action and practice? Okay, these are just the tips, no? Based on my experiences, based on my observations, my involvement into the programs, RDE programs of our institution. No, I am looking at this context, the concept of community-based participatory research design. Okay, why? Because this is the thing, no? The old paradigm is after we conducted the study, after we formulated the recommendations, that's the time that we go to the different agencies, different people, telling that this is the result of your research. And if you as an outsider, and who will tell me that this is the result of your research, no? At ako yung agency, sabihin mo, this is yung result of your research without even my involvement, I may not be able to adapt it that way. I may not become serious to adapt it. Kaya, title pa lang sana ng research, you already establish participation and you already establish stakeholders' participation with this. And that's actually the beauty of this community-based participatory research design, or CBPR. Okay? So it is referring also as CBR. It is also known as PAR, or Participatory Action Research, or it is also known as the Community-Based Participatory Action Research in Social Action Research, and among other terms. But we will only use the CBPR. Maraming term ito, pero CBPR. So hoping that this will be a technique as you go through the research process, as you go through the conceptualization of your issues and problems, let's try to establish already this context, the use of CBPR. Okay? So in Levy said that it is involving or forming research partnerships with non-academic stakeholders to develop and execute a research project based on a particular community identified problem or issue. So, and of course, determining the problem or issue involves a process of initially starting with the general topic, identifying the key stakeholders of your community partners, collaboratively identifying the problem or issue, conducting a literature review, then collaboratively crafting a problem or issue statement. Okay, let me show you this one. So, community-based participatory research has emerged in the last decades as what we call a transformative research paradigm that bridges the gap between science and practice through community engagement and social action. So I hope natutumbok natin yung tema natin sa isa araw na ito, translating research into action and practice. Okay, but we will look more on CBPR as our model for today. So this is actually the visual representation, the context, the partnerships, intervention, and at the outcome. Okay? So the differences now, so that we can really appreciate the beauty of CBPR research. No? In traditional research, like what we did, our community is a passive subject of the study. So we form the research question, then you as a researcher, no, floated the questionnaire without even the involvement of the community. They were not even informed that you are doing this research, and you went to the area and you are doing a survey. So in CBPR, the thing is, title pa lang, conceptualization pa lang ng problema, meron ng participation yung mga tao dyan. No? Meron nang nasabi si teacher, meron nang nasabi si principal, meron nang nasabi si guidance counselor about the problem on bullying in the institution. Okay? And of course, in research design, traditional research is done a priori by the researcher in the academic institution. But for CBPR, it is done with the representatives from the community and the academic institution. Okay? And of course, traditional research is assessment, data collection, implementation, academic institution. But for CBPR, there is this assessment, there will be data collection, you implement and evaluate. And at the end of the day, at the beginning of the problem, at the end of your research, it's everyone's responsibility. And usually, sustainability plan is not included for traditional research, but for CBPR, the sustainability is a priority that begins at the research inception to implementation to research policy outcomes. Then it's already a way, a transformative paradigm that really transform the community based from your research. Okay, so I hope you can appreciate the beauty of CBPR. So these are the principles of CBPR. First, acknowledge the community as a unit of your identity. Meaning to say, you would like to do a study on the problem on water crisis. So it's not you alone to look the problem. As a researcher, you need to look at the community. You need to go to the water district. You need to go to the agencies, the ENR, so that at the inception of the problem, there are already contributions of these people. Okay? Then already established with them partnership. Next, build strengths and resources within the community. That's number 2 principle. Number 3, the CBPR facilitates a collaborative, equitable partnership with all phases of research involving and empowering power sharing that attends social inequalities. And of course, foster co-learning and capacity building among all partners. Okay? From the results of your research, you find out that these are really the need of the community, then implement an intervention. From that intervention, capacitate them, and they will be your partners. And later on, the community will improve. The community will have its own perspective for development. And of course, a balance between knowledge generation, intervention, and the benefit of the people. So ang gusto kong sabihin dito, mag-research ka, hindi na lang ikaw. No? Isipin mo na yung magbe-benefit sa research mo. Sa traditional thesis ninyo, sa traditional research to nilalagay nyo, significance of the research, identify the institution who will benefit from your research. Traditionally, we'll just put the Department of Education, the DOH, the DENR, the DPWH. We just state them the purpose of your research, but in the inception of the research, we do not even involve them. So let us make things practical and serious. The thing here is, when we put this will be a research that will consider be significant, to these agencies at the inception, at the development of the research problem pa lang, you have already gathered information coming from this institution. Okay? And of course, focuses on the local relevance, whether what kind of issues is that, public health, or lalo na COVID tayo, that attend to multiple determinants of health. So these are the principles of CBPR. I hope that the concept of CBPR sa ating teachers, sa educational system natin, sa context ng teaching and learning, we will be able to come up with our research projects, research studies that will really generate a strong partnership and improve a community. Kaya nga sa mga universities, different colleges, they have their own different research and extension programs. Okay? Kasi ang nagiging problema, there is really a gap between research and community service. Kumbaga, the result of your research, generated from your research, should be brought down to the community. Pero ang naging problema, we just baliktad. No? We just think of something, then train the people without even doing a research. So this is the beauty now of community-based participatory research. Okay, and of course, the beauty here is also lies on the community involvement when we disseminate results. That we no longer go to somewhere else if our researches are done. And you pick people who will absorb the results of your research. But for CBPR, your research already has built-in people who will absorb, who will utilize the results of your study. So I hope that in the Philippine culture, this is what universities, like the great universities in the country, yung mga ginagawa nila ngayon, ganito, research development and RDE yung concept. CBPR yung concept. It does not mean that it's more on extension, but there is really a project, a program that you are carrying out and pushing it through so that to improve something, to develop something. Okay? So these are the general steps in CBPR. Okay, let's go to this model from topic to problem statement. So the question is, how do we do CBPR now when we are doing a research? Okay, if you are the researcher, think of the general topic you would like to research, you would like to do, no? And somehow this is the problem, no? Particularly to our students, to our teachers. I am really hard up of coming with a topic, a researchable topic for my research. Okay, so think of a topic. After thinking of a topic, identify, map out the stakeholders and community partners. Like what I have said, if you'd like to venture on research on environmental conservation or water conservation, map out the people who are in charge of this topic, of this issue, so that you may be able to familiarize yourself what has been the new policies, what has been the LGUs or the Philippine government, the provincial local government units have done to this kind of committee, the committee of your local government unit who is in charge on environment. Okay, map out those stakeholders. And if you are a teacher, think of the problem, and you thought of bullying, no? You must have an initial data with the guidance counselor on the incidence of bullying in your institution. You talk with a psychologist, a licensed psychologist. If you are not a psychologist, you establish partnership with those traffic enforcers, no? Who are in charge on child protection in the Philippine National Police. So go to the PNP, ask them what is the incidence of bullying in our municipality. Okay, talk with them so that you can get a realistic data. Okay, after identifying the stakeholders and community partners, establish memorandum of agreement, mag-inception meeting kayo, o meron na kayong nagawang partnership na isa. Or kung ilan yung agencies na tinap mo sa research mo, yun yung bilang ng partnerships na nangyari base sa research mo. And identify the problem or issue together. Because each of these offices has something to say about that problem of inquiry. And go to literature, conduct a literature review, then create problem or issue statement. And that's the beginning of a research, so that you can really translate, you can generate, no, research results that could really be adapted, no? Kasi late na kung when you did a bullying research, and at the end of the day, you put in the significance of your research, the PNP will benefit from your research, particularly on child protection. Natapos na yung research mo, wala man lang involvement ng PNP, and sabihin mo, oh, ito yung resulta ng research mo without getting data from them. So how sure are you that your research results will be taken seriously? Okay? So this is the new thing now. So the first technique you need to do is establish the problem or issue by stakeholders by mapping them. And of course, stakeholders or finding collaborators or co-investigators is essential when we would like to come up with the research with a very remarkable result. Your professional network will also assist you to locate possible partners and begin to develop working relations with them. Okay, your stakeholders can be the lenders, the community, the society, the owners, customers, government, employees. Or in other contexts, the local government units, the policymakers, the agencies, the regulatory agencies. No? Is there a problem on traffic in your area? Is there a problem on this child abuse in your area? No? Then you need also to have an initial data. Okay? That's why I always tell to the papers wherein I serve as a panel member is, if you are doing a research on that, do you have an initial talk with these people, with this agency? And they will say, no, sir, none so far. Then sabi ko, go back and as these agencies because there have been already studies that their agencies have done with regards to your topic. So later on, hindi ma-utilize yan kasi you're doing a duplication. Okay? You're doing a duplication. So see to it that before you embark into such kind of topic, talk with them, talk with these agencies, talk with this regulatory body or legislative bodies of what have they have done with regard to this problem of inquiry. Okay? So I hope nakikita natin yung beauty dyan because the beneficiaries of your study should also be informed because sabihin mo, I am doing a research on this. You think of your respondents, you think of your beneficiaries, you think of the people who will really benefit. And in the beginning of the research, you didn't even talk with them. You didn't even get information from them. Okay? So as a researcher, our attitude should be to consider first if we are interested to do a research topic with this, no, with this kind of a research topic. Let's try to talk with these people. Let's try to get ideas from them because they may share something. Okay, so depending on the topic, there may be now an established. When you already form your collaborators, we call it as your CBO or the community-based organization. Imagine you are doing a research wherein may participation ang church, may participation ang community, ang non-government agencies. Wow, no? It is actually a research that will be felt by the people, by the community. Para hindi siya maging file drawer problem. Okay? So, problem on bullying is an example. And the stakeholders or partners may include individuals from the following categories. Of course, if you are doing a research on bullying, you must have a talk with teachers who are directly involved with these children, to the parents, to the guidance counselors, to the social workers in your locality, to the principals or administrators, to the staff of the institution, to the police, no? And of course, a sociologist and a psychologist. Okay? And with that problem, it's participatory in nature. Okay? Para lang sa pag matapos mo yung research mo, acceptable sa level ni teacher, sa level ng mga tao na kukonsumo later on sa resulta ng study mo. Okay? Kasi ang kultura kasi natin dito sa Pilipinas, we are doing an individualized research, no? Individual, personal, kanya-kanya. O yun ang rason kung bakit walang na-utilize na resulta. Okay? Kasi wala naman at the beginning of the research, wala ka man lang in-involved, ikaw na lapa ang naggawa ng research na yan. Of course, no? The thing there is, title pa lang, you already map out. You already involve stakeholders. Okay? So identifying the relevant stakeholders and community partners is vital of moving from a general idea to a researchable problem. Stakeholders are those parties who have vested interest in your topic. What will a law enforcer can do with your research? No? What will a social worker can do? No? And soliciting formal input from a differently positioned members of the community can be essential as you seek to formulate the problem and as well as develop a culturally competent approach to investigating it. Take note of this, culturally competent approach. Okay? Next. Once you have a team in a place, this is actually the next thing for you to do, is you have already the members, the stakeholders of your study, you already come up with this a member, yung parang advisory mo, no, na makikipartneran mo ng research. There will be two major issues come to bear in mind. First, the social value of the project. Imagine it's accepted by these agencies, by these people. And of course, multiple stakeholders needs perspective. Multi-sectoral. Okay? Multi-sectoral. Not only from the teacher, not only for the learner, but for the parents and for the whole community. Okay? Multi-sectoral yung perspective and multi-sectoral yung approach mo. Okay, then, with that, mag-mapping na kayo, mag-plan na kayo, i-convene mo na sila, pwede mong tawagan sila through Zoom, no? Kasi pandemic, begin with the primary topic and visually show how your different stakeholders relate to it. And the first thing you need to do is encourage these people that I will be doing a research on this, and this will be your role. This will be the expected outcome and output of my research. And this will be the result so that you can do this and do that. Okay, so encouragement, a form of partnership, doing intimacy requirement in research is very good. Okay, including the knowledge, the perspectives, and the skills they bring to the research. Because different agencies have different topics, different data to share. No, like the problem on environmental protection. The PNP has a data on the number of those people who are doing illegal logging. Even the Department of Environment and Natural Resources has data, okay, on what area in your place is where this illegal logging is proliferating. Okay, so they can provide you. Hindi yung ikaw na researcher, iniisip-isip mo na, okay, so, you know, group thinking, no? Group work is better than individual work. Kaya, I am not biased here, pero it's just appreciating the beauty of participatory research. Okay, and create partnership now through a memorandum of agreement and memorandum of understanding. Then invite now the head of your institution. No, you come up with this online ceremonial memorandum of agreement signing. Involve these people, these communities, and you already establish partnership. And most of this is that who knows that even this agency that you would like to involve will be funding your research proposal or will be funding your research activities or endeavors. Okay? So, establish. That's technique number 2, establish problem or issue with the stakeholders. Okay? Now, after identifying the problem with these people, there is a need for you now to do a literature review. Okay? Kasi kung walang literature review yung research mo, hindi rin lang yan mapapublish later on. So for technique number 3 is, after establishing the topic, you already map meron ka ng grupo, no? Na-identify nyo na kung ano yung problema, nagbigay na yung agencies ng mga problema tungkol sa gusto mong i-explore na topic. Kayo naman na is do a literature review. Whether it's start with a global, continental, no, to the national, to the regional, and the existing local problem. Literature review in this design is problem-centered and interdisciplinary or transdisciplinary. So often drawing on literature from numerous disciplines and research traditions in order to provide a holistic review of the current and even the landmark research related to the central problem. So, for example, water crisis is not being only experienced by the country, but it has been experienced by other countries. So, kumbaga, global yan. No problems on mining, di ba? Global problem, but the relevance is also in the local context. That's why we term it as local. Okay, this process may involve extensive negotiations also between different positioned research partners. So, your agency, what can you give to me as a data, as a basis for literature review? From you in this agency, what can you provide? Okay, in addition to the different disciplinary or other areas of expertise, as well as culturally sensitive definition, should be solved. Okay, so kaya nga, if you are doing a research, no, title pa lang, nakonsulta mo na. Okay? Then search the literature now. Go to Google Scholar, Semantic Scholar, Scopus Web of Science on the following. What are the theories with mining? Theories on water crisis. No? What are the laws in the government? What are the governing principles with regards to the problem? Medyo nai-interrupt tayo doon sa sound. I request everyone to please mute your Zoom. Okay? Number 2, international and local literature about the problem and solution. And 3, international and local studies conducted about the problem and its solution. Or pwedeng number 4, the existing policies in the locality with regards to the problem. Okay? So saan kayo kukuha ng literature? Go to Google Scholar. Okay? Type the keyword, then get information from there. Okay? And if you are venturing to apply research and you would like to come up with a product, see to it that your research should have a prior art search. What does it mean of a prior art search? There should be a search. You go to Google Patents to see if the technology you are doing is already a duplication of something that has been patented or has been applied for utility model or has been filed for intellectual property rights. Okay? So that walang masasagasahan na tao. Walang duplication. Okay? Then, of course, you also consult the Directory of Open Access Journals, a very powerful website where you can get journals and articles about the topic. You can sort them. Okay? You also go to Semantic Scholar. Imagine if you can get 20 literature from this. Kompleto na yung research mo. Kompleto na yung kanyang pangangailangan. Okay, next. And of course, this is the thing. The research team collectively generates the central questions the research seeks to answer. The process optimally involves now bringing the members of the community of interest into the development process to create a community-generated research questions. Okay, so from that literature review, okay, this is our direction. Okay, so participatory. Okay, so that's actually the technique number 4. Okay, clear po ba tayo? No? So kung ganun yung proseso ng research natin, ang resulta ng research natin will be highly acceptable, socially viable. Okay? And ikaw na researcher, the name, the knowledge you did, the knowledge you created will be regarded to you. Okay, imagine this professor, this teacher has developed this community through a good research participation, a good research collaboration. Okay? And of course, the technique number 5 is develop a research plan and its implementation together. So think of the philosophy of the research, whether will it be a transformative paradigm? No, will it be transformative? We'd like to transform this group of people, the setting and the participants. Of course, think of the ethics now. What will be your ethics protocol? Okay, mas maayos na rin yung ethics protocol mo kasi when you do a research and participation with the PNP, in participation with the SWD, okay, they have already established protocols that they can share to you and you can use it because this has been tested, this has been validated. And who else will question the tool? Who else will question the protocols of your research? Okay, and of course, the design and the methods you will use. So since CBPR tayo, it is a combination of quantitative or qualitative, but it does not mean na iisa lang yung study mo dito. Maraming components. So components on the quantitative research, components on the qualitative research. In short, it is a research program. Okay, you are carrying out a research program, no? Sa isang problema, ang dami-dami mo nang magawa doon. Okay? And of course, think of the data analysis and ito na expected outputs and outcomes. So you talk with your group, you talk with your partners, what are the outcomes of your research? What are the outputs of your research? Okay, for PNP, so that all the people will be informed on the results of your research or results of our future research. No? We'll have a radio talk, FB live on the topic, and you will be hosting this one. So this will be another activity for the PNP, another activity for the DSWD. Okay, so making your research being felt by this community. On the part of the social worker, your research will be will inform the parents. So we will do a parental counseling on their role so that their children will not be exposed to child abuse and so on and so forth. So imagine yung isang problema mo, ang dami nang nangyari. So translating research results into action and practice. And of course, think now of the proposed budget. Okay, if this is our research, when will it be done? How much we can do with this? No, if wala namang funding talaga at you really love research, no, you carry out with yourself, o kahit support na lang yung bibigay ng mga partners mo na yan. Okay, kasi if you will be partnering with agencies naman, wala namang bayad eh. In short, sila pang magbayad sa'yo. Okay? Next, and of course, plan for data gathering, analysis, and interpretation. Okay, and that once you already implemented the research, initial talk, of course, regular meetings, pa-zoom na lang din kayo with your partners, no? Okay, and community-based participatory research design. For the technique number 6 now is thinking of the representation and dissemination of your research. Okay, so in order to benefit the relevant stakeholders, the audience for your project, their accessibility is relevant. In short, 2 aspects of research findings must be acceptable, must be accessible to the people. The content of your research and the mode of distribution. So if this is the results of your research, what had happened? What had transpired? First, the findings need to be understandable. Okay? So wala namang problema kung may partner ka naman na English teacher, may partner ka naman dyan na magazine writer, no? O ito yung resulta ng research ko, kindly help me translate this one into vernacular so that we can distribute leaflets for information dissemination. Okay. Second, the findings need to be distributed through channels to which identified audiences have access. Okay. If the parents have cell phone, then you can do a dissemination of your research through Facebook, through live lecture. Okay. Next, and materials developed or generated from your research before they will be used for dissemination and utilization, you as a researcher needs to copyright it first so that you can have protection. You can have protection of the name of your university, that this research is carried out through the help, through the substantial support of my university or my institution. Okay? So, I have this one adapted from research utilization framework so that we can bridge really results to action and practice. Factors that can affect the research utilization are the research process. No? Ito is stakeholder involvement, communication and dissemination, and contextual factors. So what activities to promote your research results will be evidence-based. Contribute to evidence-based, advocacy, media coverage, the use of results, no? Policy, the LGU have adopted, or GUs have adopted the results of your research, and it becomes part of the ordinance of the municipality. Imagine what impact you have done, no? The programs, what are new, what are systems, what are the guidelines, what are the trainings you develop from that research. And of course, in practice, no, behavioral change. For example, the community, no? Pinaktis, ganun pala ang role namin na teacher, ganun pala ang role namin na parent. So there will be improvement on the behavior of the community. And of course, availability and use of services and the product. Okay, medyo generic yung pagkuhan kasi natin. But anyway, so what are now the channels for research results representation and dissemination? Okay, you may have a local organization, business, schools, religious centers, or art galleries. Provide them copy of your research. Pero the thing kasi here is, do not provide the actual book or thesis because it does not mean for them. Provide a policy brief, provide a leaflet, diba? Provide a comics for your research. Lalo na kung on the water crisis. No? Of course, the radio. Next, the internet. Local or national newspapers. Presentation at public meetings or in community locations. Other venues likely to reach the target audiences. Okay? And of course, the research findings may be represented in multiple and alternative formats like pamphlets, newspapers, brochures, community board postings, podcasts, blogs, online articles, or essay photo blogs. For example, when you are in the institution, or part of your research will be contest on slogan or poster making, no, story making by the students, so that from your research, the results will inform people, larger groups of people. Okay, performances. If your research can have this kind of thing, no, poetry or spoken word readings, a way to disseminate the findings of your research. Okay, like what we have in our university, we have a research program on environmental protection. The partnership came up with partnership with the DNR, with PNP, with the schools. No, part of the activities there is these researchers develop instructional materials on environmental protection on mangrove. So yung nagumawa sila ng comics, then pinilot test sa mga schools, and that is actually the result of your research. No, translated into layman's term, translated into something that is useful. It does not mean that you give them the bulk information. Give them the practical application of your research. Documentary films, visual art or photography. Okay? And of course, this is the number one thing is when your research results have been part of public policies, which are plans of actions that may carry widespread consequences for the communities that they impact. So from your research, you were able to develop or you were able to provide scientific basis for the local government units to come up with an ordinance on environmental protection, on child protection, on education, no? On community livelihood. And of course, as policies are often politically motivated, the public they most affect is often left out of the process. So it's a way to help the decision makers, the legislative bodies or the regulatory bodies of what is happening, because the basis is a law, a policy. Okay, so policies typically with how the state relates to the local populations and communities, making the need for community involvement obvious. Okay, and in order to participate in policy-making processes, the public needs to be engaged in shaping the policy agenda. So providing now a concrete material, a concrete information to these legislative bodies based from your research, based from the results of your research. Lalong-lalo na ngayong pandemic, no? Are there how many local government units are doing the scientific approach in management, in managing COVID-19 cases? So the policies they are initiating are well accepted, socially accepted, viable. It involves a strong commitment with the people. No, that's why the reason we have law, no, as a set of legal orders constituted by these competent authorities for the sake of the common good. So that's the definition of the law. Okay, and CBPR projects can therefore be designed to examine the impact now of the current policies on particular communities and how those policies could be improved for the public good. Okay, so having these policies, sometimes the problems existing in the society can be the lookout of, for example, lookout of the mayor, lookout of this politician. So I think it's more appropriate to say that your research results has provided something that will benefit really the people. And it's a matter of partnership. It's a matter of stakeholders' participation. Okay, so some examples of IEC pictorials, no? These are the materials available in my office. And though it may not be related to education, but let's just take the concept kasi ang hirap rin kumuha ng mga examples na sa education context. So some examples and pictorials of IEC materials generated from researches for resource utilization. So we have a policy brief, no? The study funded by these agencies, the OSTP card on the impact assessment of close fishing season policy for sardines in Visayan Sea by Ferrer et al. So after they have conducted the study, no, they were able to develop a policy brief that is being distributed now to the communities. And ang maganda dito, may policy brief rin sila na naka-vernacular based sa language ng mga fishermen, based sa language ng mga farmers, so that it will not be misunderstood. Okay, so imagine if your research creates impact, creates policies, creates outcomes. So when you establish a policy on this fishing closure, no, they were able to explore what are the impacts and the issues, and they were able to come up with in what month should they gather fish, in what month that they should not. So of course, in the month that hindi sila makapag-gather, your research also or other agencies based from your research can provide interventions for them as alternative source of livelihood. Okay? Next, ito in education, no, on the implementation of K-12 enrollment, I got this from the internet, the Ateneo de Manila, no, policy brief, urgent need to address massive drop-off in K-12 enrollment. So this was published online and it's really a synopsis of what you have found. So for those who are listening, teachers here, siguro part of your action researches, come up with a policy brief so that it will be available to the public, no? But before you release it, copyright it first, and of course talk it out first with your partners so that there will be no more questions. Okay, participatory yung approach mo dyan. Okay, so ano yung mga policy brief niya so that this will guide administrators, teachers, no, and people involved in the education or stakeholders in the education or in curriculum development, in curriculum planning, implementation. They may be able to be provided with this relevant information based from your research. Okay? So example is this one, no? As a way to translate your research results into action and practice, no? How many IEC materials your research were able to generate? Ito kasi, the Philippine studies on mangrove by the USTP card, I cannot give any example other than this agency kasi sila yung in charge kasi dyan. Kaya ito yung mga available na references sa akin. So they were able to come up with a book on the Philippine recommendations for mangrove crabs, like that. So of course, as they did the research, it's participatory in nature. So in the involvement of these people. So think of a way wherein how will you translate the results of your research into action? So plano pa lang yan, title pa lang yan ng research mo, may idea ka na kung ano yung possible na mangyayari. Okay? So another one is, for example, this is a sort of applied research. Again, the OSTP card IEC material is EPP, no? Yung gumawa siya ng technology on the process of potting these vegetables. So urban gardening is a research actually, and what happened with this research is the author was able to come up with enriched potting preparation technology, and is being distributed to different elementary schools in NCR, schools in areas wherein you can have vertical farming, no? Vertical farming, yung maliit ang spaces so that they will have idea. So look at the IEC material developed. Okay, so the processes and the technologies, but before you need to come up with this kind of technologies or processes, kailangan mo na yan ng research. So somehow this will be part of your research endeavor. Okay, so another one on cacao. Okay, so pictorial guide on the natural enemies for these people who are entomologists, no, plant pathologists. No, they develop this kind of book so that cacao farmers in the Philippines may be able to know what are the natural enemies on cacao production. Okay, so it's just a very beautiful thing to realize that ano kaya kung lahat ng mga researches natin, whether applied or basic researches, ay may mga ganitong outputs na na-generate. And of course, the utilization is very high. No, the adoption is very high through participatory research. And of course, another one is initiatives to improve the food and non-food resources in the country. Is actually the compilation of research technologies distributed by this DOSTP card to the communities, to institutions, no? And other instrumentalities of the government. Okay, next. Actually, this is my last slide. I am showing to you this butterfly, reminding you that the life cycle of the monarch butterfly is likened to the life cycle of being a researcher. And the beginning of a research is actually you who will like to start it when you do a research proposal, no? And you will not be able to complete the cycle of a research unless you will publish it, people will utilize it, people will adapt it. Think of a butterfly that is flying from one flower to another. So parang research yan na it spreads something. It spreads new varieties, it spreads new knowledge so that the community at large will be benefited from your research. Remember that you will not be able to complete the cycle of being a researcher, no, or even an international researcher if your research is not published or your research is not cited, or most of all, your research has not been adapted or utilized for its practical application. Okay, so that ends my presentation. Okay, I hope I were able to provide you. No, I was able to provide you thing to ponder on when you will be doing your research. Okay, we have a book on this, Research Methodology, Quantity and Quality, no, practical guide for researchers from gaps identification to publication. And should there be additional, should there be a way for you to contact me personally, you can email me and you can contact me with my number. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I am now ready if you have clarifications or questions to be raised.
Thank you,
Translating
Sir
research
Gilbert.
practice. Thank you. Yeah, okay.
To our participants, if you have questions, we're now open, or we're now accepting questions. So we have here, what do you call this one? From Jeffrey Ballesteros, in as much as we wanted to get involved in a community-based research, I think the number one factor to be considered is funding. the community itself don't recognize the value of research, even LGU.
Okay. This is actually the other concerns of doing this kind of research. No, if the local government unit is not really scientific in its management approach, and my suggestion here is siguro kung researcher tayo is let's do the initiative of telling, no? Sabihin nyo, madaling sabihin, pero mahirap gawin. Pero just an idea, let us try to do steps or actions so that these legislative bodies can appreciate the value of your research. Okay? Because lalo na sa LGU, they even have this basic education fund wherein they can provide also. No? Lalo na malapit ng election, siguro, baka tignan niyo yung botohan natin. Okay? Those who has appeal in scientific approach, scientific management, so that this is the thing really. Okay, I appreciate the concern, Sir Jeffrey Ballesteros. That's actually a problem. So in as much as we would like to do this, but if the LGU does not really recognize this one, remember, the LGU may not the only institution whom you can partner with. If you cannot go with legislative bodies, go to regulatory bodies. Perhaps they can even provide you more opportunities, funding opportunities for this.
Yes,
Okay.
I agree with that, Sir Gilbert.
Thank you. What else?
Again, we are still encourage everyone. If you have some clarifications or questions, you can type it on our chat box below, or you can scan it or send it into slido.com.
Okay, we have Sir Marvin Daguplos here, sir. Sir MC.
Yes, sir. We have a question from Marvin. Is there any alternative approach of CBPR in this pandemic period?
Okay, there are many ways to kill a cat or a chicken. Okay, so if it's pandemic, then probably we can do online way of establishing community-based partnership. But if you are already in your locality and you have already your research agenda to carry out, you have your commodities of your university that you would like to be absorbed or to be used by the community, then proper coordination naman with agencies, no? With the proper observation of the protocol set by the IATF, then perhaps you can go to the field, you can go to this community and tell them about this one. Tell them that you would like to do something. But for research inception first, see to it that before conceptualizing to the actual problem, you already establish participation, mapping out this stakeholders' participation on this problem with these people. Okay? Pwede naman online po, pwede naman Facebook. So kung talagang serious tayo doon sa advocacy natin to make change to this community, then there will always be a way. Okay?
Okay, sir. Follow-up question from Sir Marvin. In terms of rural development-based research, where have participants of the access to internet? And we have also questioned from Ma'am Esterlin natin. Good morning, sir. I had a thesis about alternative learning system. May I ask how can I publish my thesis po?
Okay, for Ma'am Esterly o natin, your question will be answered tomorrow. Okay, because my topic will be on research publication tomorrow in the afternoon. So, pasok ka po bukas sa online class natin. So, we have a concern here from Sir Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, yes, sir. Question from Sir Jeffrey Ballesteros. Based on your experience, sir, in conducting CBPR, what are the things that you think it is essential in conducting such research that was not cascaded in your presentation?
Okay, what are the things that you think is essential in conducting such research? Well, sir, I would like you to realize that your results, the results of your research, no, should be useful really to the community. on the context of community-based partnership, no partnership research, talagang kailangan mo talagang i-partner ito nang sa ganun ang mga outputs ng researches mo ay may siguradong adapters ka. May siguradong kukuha ng resulta niya. Kasi ang naging problema kasi natin, aminin man natin, no? We have bulky studies already in our shelves, even the outputs of our students which has not been utilized. So the thing is, the research cannot be useful as long as it reaches, no? The results reach this target audience. So very essential talaga that if you wish really na talagang gusto mo ang resulta ng research mo ay talagang may impact, may outcome, talagang adapted ng community. I am not mandating you to do CBPR, but I'm encouraging you siguro to venture on this, provided with if you are given really the opportunity to do this. Okay, I'm just presenting this insight. But anyway, since I already talked about this one, hope you appreciate how research can be utilized, can become useful when it is coming from the design of CBPR. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Another question from Ma'am Lorilyn. Aside from being in the context of pandemic, what are the other challenges in conducting CBPR, sir?
Okay, so really, ma'am, aside from this pandemic, sir, you have told a while back that when there is resistance from the group and you are really hard up to convince them to participate in your research, that's one of the big challenges. So kahit kinausap mo na yung sabi, totoo po naman, totoo yun, kahit kinausap mo na yung mga talagang stakeholders na yan, kung talagang hindi naman nila ma-appreciate talaga, hindi nila makita yung value, challenge po yun sa atin. Challenge po yun sa atin na researcher. So another, Sir Marvin Duplo said, in terms of rural development-based research where participants have no access to internet, is there an alternative approach of CBPR in this pandemic period? Well, in my experience po, kasi we have a research stream coming from funding agencies, sabi nila, huwag nyo sanang irason yung COVID na yan na para hindi nyo ma-execute tong project ninyo. Mga ganun yung sabi nila. So as long as it's a CBPR, kailangan mo talagang pumunta sa community, pero kailangan mo talagang magpaalam. Okay? Kailangan mo talagang tignan kung ano yung nangyayari doon, provided na yung research topic mo is makakatulong sa kanila. Okay?
Okay, thank you, sir. Other questions or are there some more questions? Again, you may use slide.com or message us here in chat box.
Siguro sa context ng kasi karamihan sa mga participants natin ay meron ding mga teachers ng DepEd. Okay, o siguro we can come up with an idea on how to establish this approach in our school, use this approach in our school so that we can have a sustainability of our plans and policies in the institution. Okay?
Okay.
So it's just a matter of doing a research in collaborative way. Collaborative way yung pag-approach mo sa problema. Nang sa ganun yung problema, yung resulta ng research mo na gagawin mo is participatory rin, natatanggapin ng mga tao. Kasi ito yung problema natin eh. Saka ka lang hahanap ng stakeholder mo nung natapos na yung research. Yun yung old paradigm niya. So the new thing here is research problem pa lang, title pa lang, alam mo na at may participation na yung mga people who will benefit from your research. Diba? Sa part ng research nyo, may significance of the study. Ako nga, sinuot ko, significance of the study. Nilalagay ko isa-isa. Okay, sa totoo naman pala, nung natapos yung research, hindi man lang sila nabigyan ng kopya ng research mo, hindi man lang nila alam kung anong nangyari. So, nasaan doon yung pangyayari? Nasaan doon yung na-execute na knowledge generation and utilization? Nasaan doon yung translation ng resulta sa action at sa practice? Okay? So, yun po yung gusto kong ipabatid sa inyong lahat. Okay, marami rin po yung mga research extensionists dito sa sa kwan, lalo yung mga galing po sa mga magagandang universities like si LSU, no? May nakita po kasi akong participants kanina. So I hope we share the same appreciation po with this
Okay.
kind of
Sir, we
approach.
have still one more question from Ma'am Moraya Kaklini. Good morning, sir. Our university encouraged us to conduct collaborative research that must have an output like technology transfer before funding. How can I apply CBPR po?
Okay, ma'am. The context of CBPR is establish first kasi, may dalawang modalities po kasi tayo, kasulad din sa amin. Kasi may mga studies na nagawa na kailangan mo rin talagang ipa-technology license agreement, ipa-commercialize. So go with that way po. Kung natapos na yung research, as long as na-copyright siya, nakalagay ang pangalan ng university ninyo, no? Nang doon ang pangalan mo as the maker, then there's no wrong when encouraging these stakeholders to join, to adapt your research for technology commercialization. Okay? Kasi lalong-lalo naman po, no? Ang resulta talaga ng mga applied researches natin like product development, no? Ay talagang dapat pupunta yan sa komunidad, pupunta yan sa mga tao, pupunta yan sa mga people who are interested with, so that they can come up with a business, establish business from the product of your research, and generally will improve the community. So yung tanong mo po kung paano i-apply ang CBPR doon, if there's a way na kung tapos na, hindi mo na, it's just a matter now of identifying kung sino yung mga adapters mo. Pero in CBPR kasi ideally po, problema pa lang yan, may partnership ka na agad. Okay, ito yung magiging kwan later on eh. Kaya nga sabi namin katulad sa amin, no, bago kami naggawa ng mga tools or machineries and equipment on cacao processing, is nagkaroon muna kami ng group organization of these cacao farmers in our community. Kasi paano ka makakagawa ng tools na hindi mo naman alam yung naging problema nila. Okay? Kaya gagawa po kami ng cacao dryer for this community. Kasi ang naging problema noon, laging umuulan, laging binabagyo, laging nasisira yung mga beans nila, walang kita si farmer, walang kita yung mga tao. So ito yung naging problema. Oh, why not come up with this kind of a tool? Let's try to develop this kind of technology, this material, nang sa ganon, no? Magamit ng mga farmer kahit hindi iinit, kahit umuulan, no? May cacao dryer sila. So yun yung naging success story rin nung cacao processing R&D namin. Okay? So ito po sa context ng university.
Sir, meron po tayong question here
Yes,
from
sir.
slido.com. In any organization, the results of any research should lead to policy formulation. Is the development of a policy brief is a mechanism for policy formulation?
Yes, sir. Kaya nga siya naging policy brief na is from the results of your research, no? It has been already accepted by this community. May knowledge na yung mga tao dito, yung mga LGUs na nagle-legislate ng policy sa community ninyo. So yung policy brief na is, ito na yung brief. Kaya brief na siya eh. Hindi na siya yung buong libro na ibibigay mo para nang sa ganon, this is really the mechanism for them to change their practices, to change their action. So sa policy formulation talaga. Okay, kaya nga kung policy formulation po kasi, dapat, di ba sa ordinances may first offense, second offense, third offense. So, basta sabi natin na naging effective yung policy mo kung na-translate siya, na-accept siya as an ordinance, then noong nagawa ng LGU ninyo, for example, in-implement naman ng Philippine National Police ninyo, may mga nahuli na sila na lumabag sa batas, it's already saying that there's an outcome of your research. Kasi ang policy naman kapag hindi nasunod, hindi naman totoong policy yan eh. Saka lang naman talaga maging talagang policy nung kang ma-implement. So, yun yung context po.
Okay. Sir, another question from Sir Marvin ulit. Sir, ang CBPR ba ay maka-contextualize rin sa practice-based research na required ngayon ng CHED? With this, thesis and dissertation would be longitudinal in nature. Output are adopted immediately and not just recommendatory.
Okay. Your first is contextualized din ba sa practice? Yes, CHED is funding agency rin siya. Nagpa-fund siya ng mga studies with regard to this CBPR. Okay, katulad nung mga studies na pondohan sa amin kasi meron kaming mga studies on the readiness of K-12 learners, no? Parang naging CBPR rin yung approach kasi may mga involvement rin ng mga parents, mga ganon. But of course, for funding naman on thesis and dissertation, I don't think kung longitudinal talaga yung nature ng study. Hindi ko alam kung, I'm not really certain, I'm not really familiar with the agenda of this one. Kasi kung sinasabi kasi natin na longitudinal yung research mo, gagawa ka ng research ng mahabang panahon. Okay, unless kung yung research mo ay program-based siya, malaking research na malaki siya, then may mga component siya, and that can be done within 5 years, that can be executed within 5 years. So, yun din yung pinupundohan nila eh. Okay, so depende. Even DA, even DOST, even PCARD, DOST, PCARD. Okay.
Some more
sabi
questions. Dito sir, nag-add pa siya sir ng question. Kasi sa SEMO 15 series of 2019, it requires dissertation practice-based implemented first post-data analysis.
Okay, so merong CHED memorandum order dito si Sir Marvin, no? Yeah, dissertation practice-based talaga. Okay, then when you talk of practice-based, nakikita mo talaga kung ano yung mangyayari eh. Kung ano yung magiging output ng research ninyo. Kung ano yung magiging output ng dissertation talaga ninyo. Okay. I don't think yung sinasabi po dito na post-data analysis, depende para sa akin, depende rin siguro yan, no? Kasi ang CHED naman is really giving scholarship to those students who are taking masters or PhDs, yung mga nasa university. And different programs kasi, so may kanya-kanyang kinikerry na research agenda rin ang mga programs nila. Okay. Okay. Kaya ako nasabi, sir, na baka longitudinal na. Just okay. Thank you, Sir Marvin. Okay, siguro we can have an initial talk with this one personally. Okay? But I will also learn from you. Okay?
Okay. Some more questions? Okay, thank you daw, sir, sabi ni Sir Marvin. So it seems that we're all enlightened by the topic presented by Sir Gilbert Magolod. At this time, I present to you, Sir Magolod, the Certificate of Recognition. The certificate reads, PICE I-21, Saraga, Iloilo, Philippines, awards the Certificate of Recognition to Gilbert C. Magolod, Jr., PhD, for imparting his invaluable time, resources, and expertise as resource speaker on the topic translating research results into action and practice during the conduct of National Workon for the 21st Century Researchers and Educators with the theme Digitalization and Research and Education, Leveraging the Emerging Trends in Data Management. Accorded this 24th day of September 2021 via Zoom video conferencing. Live stream on POMI YouTube channel and PICE Facebook page. PICE I-21 Facebook page. Signed, Ricky A. Kibingko, MATM, LPT, Virtual Conference Director, and Emi Jan P. Dunila Palmani, MEd LPT, National President of PICE I-21. Once again, sir, thank you. So to our participants, evaluations are now open. Evaluations link. And this time, I request for everyone to please open your camera for a photo op.
Marami pong salamat. I hope I was able to share something. Okay, I would like to recognize i-recognize ko lang si Ma'am Alphi Solina of Cavite State University. Hello, ma'am.
Hello, sir. Thank you.
And of course, marami pa pala pong mga taga sa bayan namin, mga kabayan po. Maraming salamat.
Yes po, marami po kayo dito, sir.
O sige na, photo-up na tayo.
Okay. Again, open your camera.
Okay, so good morning everyone. So we have 3 panels in our room. So just keep smiling. So panel 1, ready, 1, 2, 3, and smile. Okay, so panel 2. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and smile. And the last panel. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and smile. Okay, so thank you guys.
So that concludes our program this morning. And we will resume our event at around 3 p.m. And we will accept participants before 3 p.m. Thank you and have a happy lunch po sa lahat. Please be guided po sa ating evaluations link po. Nandyan po sa ating chat box. See you po later.